We're all getting ready. We're all getting ready to go back to work. Uh, and yeah, it's pretty much already a busy year. I believe this is the last weekend of the holiday. However, a couple of you, like I said, ambitious people, have taken the time out to join us today so that you can learn how you can take your career to the next level. Now, you're here today because you are looking for something. Maybe that is clarity, maybe that is direction. Maybe you're looking for breakthrough into a career in tech. And right now, it feels like it is just out of reach for you. But if you're here today, I can guarantee you that so long as you apply the principles that we discuss here, you will definitely accomplish your goals. Now, you've probably heard of terms. Maybe you haven't, maybe you have. You've heard of terms like experience paradox. I wonder if you've heard of it. Is there anyone here who has heard of the term experience paradox? Anyone? Okay. So if you haven't, what that means is a frustrating loop where you can't get a job without experience, and you can't get experience without a job. It's a very real cycle, and it's holding so many talented people back. You apply for a job, and they say, oh, maybe when you're reading through the job description, you see things like you have to have 2 years of experience, you have to have 3 years of experience. And you're thinking to yourself, how in the world am I ever going to break into this career path when the requirements are so much? Well, you are not alone when it comes to that. And that's exactly why we are here today and part of what we're going to be talking about. So, like I mentioned at the start of this, so long as you apply the principles that we go over, you will definitely accomplish your goals, whatever your goals are. Today, that ends for you. We are going to completely dismantle that paradox, and we're going to do it piece by piece. And we're going to replace whatever doubts you have in your mind with a clear and actionable roadmap. So I'm not here to give you vague advice. I'm here to show you how to build something real, something credible. And this is before you apply or while you're applying for a job in the UK, in the US, or Canada. So for the next hour, I want everyone here to operate from a powerful mindset. Operate from a mindset of possibilities. Because sometimes, those doubts that you have in your head, it's what holds you back. So I want you to open up your mind and imagine what is possible for you. What if it is 100% possible for you to live the life that you have always wanted? For you to break into tech without breaking your back or breaking the bank? What if it's possible for you to make a smooth transition from wherever it is you are? You work in construction, you work in nursing, or you work in the banking sector, whatever that is. What if it is possible for you to break out from that in the next couple of months, not years, and then break into your dream role in tech? Now, before we get started, because today is going to be a really awesome session, I would like to get a real sense of everyone who is here today. So in the chat section, I want you to type your name and why you joined the session today. I think it's always important for you to be very clear about what you're looking for. Because if you're not sure what you're looking for, then everything looks like a solution to you, right? If you're not sure what the problem is. So type in your name and then type in, why you're here. Why are you here with us today? Is it a job? Do you need a job? Do you need experience? Did you just relocate and you're facing this endless loop of rejection? Is it that whenever you apply, you never get feedback? So what is that one frustration that you're constantly facing? Let's get to know each other. Let's get to know what is motivating us right now to be on this call. No one is talking. Guys, I love a very interactive class. I think that's one of the ways that we learn when we are not just listening to someone speak, but we're taking it in because it's a conversation, it's two-way. That's how we're learning. So for those of us who are looking into, oh, I want to learn a course. I want to start something in tech. So this is our first live class. So let's make it interactive. Okay. Kingsley said, I want to get into tech with COS. Okay. Um, Joanna said job transition. Christina said for more info, ideas. And then I have someone who is called Francis here who would like to learn data analytics. Francis is a carer in the UK, but would like to transition into tech. Francis, you are at the right place. We've helped so many people, hundreds of people, just like you, who worked in the healthcare industry, transition into tech. Okay, so Cornelius is saying, I want to transition into tech um, and get a high paying visa sponsored job. I'm sure that you and quite a lot of people share the same sentiments on the call or the same goal. Olaji is saying, I'd like to transition into tech. Fantastic. So yeah, we've got so many people here. And I thank you so much for sharing your goal, guys. So I would like us to take this in. Yeah, so whatever it is that brought you in here, maybe you're a mom, you're a dad, you've been home with the kids, and now you're looking to do something for yourself. So whatever it is that brought you here, I want you to look around this room and see that you are not alone in whatever your ambition is. Everyone here shares one ambition, no matter where you come from, no matter how different you are. There's one place where our diversity meets, and that is the goal. I want to break into tech, and I'm here because I need a blueprint. So this is the right place for us to do it. Now, before we fully get into it, just one favor. I want you to think of one person that you know who is in the same boat right now, someone who is talented, but maybe they're stuck. Share this link with them, and just write, tell them, chat them up, and say, this one is different. Get in here. Someone that shares the same ambition that you have, someone who is ready to break into tech, but for the life of them, they simply can't figure out how to do it. Share this link with them and get them in here. Now, finally, to wrap up, throughout this conversation, my team is going to be dropping a link in the chat section. It's called the attendance form. So if you like what I'm presenting, if maybe you're driving or you're cooking or you're taking care of the kids, or maybe you're at work and you get distracted and you're not able to follow this conversation, you can always gain access to the material that I use here. And you can also watch the recording. And the only way you're going to get access to this is if you fill out the form that my colleagues are going to be dropping in the chat section throughout this conversation. So make sure you do that so that you have access to this. Okay? All right. Housekeeping is done. Now let's get into it. Okay. So who is 10 Analytics, or what is 10 Analytics all about? The internet is full of courses. You can go on YouTube and you can learn Python for free. You can get a certificate from a dozen different platforms. There's Udemy, there's Coursera. So why are you still struggling to get a job? Now, as you can see, you're not the only person who is experiencing that. You have other people on the call who are also experiencing the same thing. That was why I asked people, share what your motivation is here. And you're seeing people who there's one recurring theme. I want to get a job in whatever that is, whatever career path you've chosen, data analytics, business analysis. So why do we still have this problem when we have platforms like this that exist, when you can go on YouTube and you can learn something for free? Why? I'll tell you why. It's because learning the skill is only 30% of the battle. So when you learn a new skill, you've done 30%. Let's say you need 100% for you to get to your desired destination. Learning the skill gives you 30%. Now, the real battle, which is where a lot of people seem to fail at, unless, of course, they know what to do. The real battle is proving to someone in any part of the world, proving to someone in Manchester, proving it to someone in New York, in Berlin, and telling them that, hey, I have the skill, you need to hire me. If all it took was learning the skill, trust me when I say that there would not be any person with these skills today and who is unemployed. I'm sure everyone on this call probably knows someone who is very skilled, very talented, and yes, they don't have a job because having the skill is just one part of it. It's one part of the equation. What gets you to the finish line or to your desired destination is knowing how to package yourself and present yourself in the market. That's 70% gap. That proof, that is exactly what Tech Analytics was built to solve. And that is what all of these other products in the market are simply not solving. Because you go there and they say, hey, there's a skill, there's a brand new skill, go into the market. But then you go into the market and you realize that, hey, just knowing how to code is simply not enough. Knowing how to manage stakeholders is not enough. Apparently, I still need proof in order for me to get this job. Now, in the last 5 years, we've helped over 3,000 people transition from classrooms, from unrelated careers, from completely different industries into their first tech role in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Europe, and beyond. Now, how did we do this? We did this by focusing on what mattered. Now, your business, your company does not exist for 5 years without trying out a bunch of strategies and eventually figuring out what works. We've tried out a bunch of things and we have cracked the code on what can take someone who is, maybe you were in Nigeria, maybe you're in Kenya, in Ghana, in India, wherever it was, and you moved to a different part of the world, or maybe you're still there, but you want your skills to be employable anywhere. We have built a strategy that works in any of these scenarios, built and perfected it, and are still perfecting it over the last 5 years. Now, how did we do this? We did this by focusing on what really matters. I'm talking real world skills, real world projects, real world connections, because this is exactly what the jobs that you're looking to get, the employers, the recruiters that you are looking to impress with all of these skills that you're acquiring. This is exactly what they're looking for. Now, what I'm going to show you in the next couple of minutes is exactly how this system works to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Okay? Now, you're probably wondering, why should I listen to you? Who are you? And that is a very fair question. My name is Femi, and I've spent over a decade building and scaling companies across Africa and Europe. Now, I've built SaaS platforms, B2C commerce, fintech ventures. I have been in the trenches building operations that works and operations that scales. I've been head of operations at a fintech company. I've been head of product growth at an e-commerce company and chief operating officer, optimizing service delivery systems. Now, that's a lot of fancy words, but really, what does this mean for you? Because you're here to solve your problem. It means that I haven't just been in the room where hiring decisions are made, but I've also been part of the people running those rooms and making these decisions, especially in the context that you are looking to break into, which is the tech context. Now, I understand what makes a talent employable. I've scrutinized a lot of resumes. I have interviewed a lot of candidates, and I have seen those things that makes people say, this is the best person. I want to hire this person. And that's exactly why, one of the reasons why I should be talking to you about this. At 10 Analytics, my entire focus is on building the systems that turn knowledge into a career. Now, the playbook that I use to scale companies and build high-performing teams is the same playbook that I'm going to share with you today. What exactly do you need to convince that recruiter that you are worth taking that risk? Because that's what the hiring game really is all about. The hiring game is pretty much a gamble. Think about it. For companies, I don't want to hire you, and then you come in and you're really just not worth it. And now the company is suffering because we have a talent in a section where we really need someone who is good. Now we have to spend time and resources training you, which frankly speaking, we don't have because our competitors have people who are competent in these roles. You see how making one bad decision can slow a company down, impact their growth engine, and slow down their revenue. So it's more of a gamble for companies. And what you need to do is convince them that you are the best person for them to take that bet on. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the real question isn't why should you listen to Lola? It's are you ready to learn how the other side thinks? Now, this is a question that I'm throwing to the house. If you want us to continue, like I mentioned, I want to know that you're here and you're engaged. So if you are ready to learn how the other side thinks, you can just type a yes into the chat so I know that you're with me, you're following me, and we can get right into it. Okay, so are you ready to learn? Fantastic. Regina said yes. Okay, all right. Yes, yes, fantastic. Now I know that everyone is here with me. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, let me be very clear about the value that you're going to be getting out of this today. If you remember what I said at the start, if you don't know what you're aiming for, if you don't know what your goal is, you're going to be shooting blanks in the dark. So the first thing is we need to be very clear on what exactly is our goal. So the first thing is we are going to break the experience paradox in the UK, in US, in Canadian job markets. Now, you know this frustration, every job posting that says things like, oh, you have to have 2 to 3 years of international experience, but how do you get that experience if no one will hire you first, without it? And it's like a catch-22. Second, you're going to learn how to become job ready in 3 to 4 months, not 3 to 5 years. Most people waste years of their lives preparing, collecting certificates like Thanos was collecting the Infinity Rings. Really? When all you just need is a couple of months for you to focus on something, learn something, understand the playbook, how to break into the market, and that's it, you're good to go. But because you don't have that knowledge, you just think, oh, I just need the skill. I need to be better at Power BI. I need to be better at Tableau. And you just keep learning and learning and learning. But when it comes to the actual results, which is, are you getting the job? Are you getting the pay that you've always wanted? Nothing. There's nothing, just crickets. Now, the third thing is, you're also going to learn how you can build your experience before applying to jobs. Now, this sounds counterintuitive. How do you build experience? Experience before you have a job. Yeah. But I'm going to show you how you can build portfolio projects, how you can create professional work samples that count as experience, even though you built them before getting hired. This is exactly what will break open the markets for you. Because again, nobody wants to hire someone who has to come in and then they have to spend their time and their resources teaching you to do your job. That's not it. So we're going to be learning how we can break into this market today. How can we use the skills? How can you completely shift your career trajectory and make yourself a beast in the job market? Now, before I show you how to break through, I need you to understand why this matters right now, because timing is everything. Now, in the US, tech jobs are projected to grow at rates that are absolutely staggering. Now, you've gotten one thing correct. You understand that you want to break into tech. You know that tech, this is the best time, honestly, for you to break into tech. If you're here, you know that. So you're doing something right. You've identified the opportunity. But a lot of times people just don't understand how digital the world is going. Now we're seeing innovations in AI. We're seeing how AI is shifting entire markets. AI has completely changed the way the world works, the way industries grow. We've seen a new generation of millionaires, of billionaires, who came out of AI. And that's incredibly crazy, isn't it? But that tells you how boundless, how limitless tech is. And a lot of people are catching into this. Tech is the present and tech is the future. So this is something, this is a space where you are always going to have opportunities. You're going to have opportunities in the US, you're going to have opportunities in the UK, you're going to have opportunities in Canada. You're going to be employable from wherever it is in the world that you are. You see, one of the beauty of tech is that you can work in the construction industry and you can still apply tech to it. You can still apply AI to it. You can still make everything digital and make things seamless. That's the beauty of tech, that you don't have to be locked into a geographic location. You don't have to be locked into one specific industry in order for you to grow. Once you empower yourself with tech, you're pretty much moving in the direction that the world is moving in. Because, like I said before, tech is the present and tech is the future. Okay, in the UK, we're seeing top skills in in areas like AI, like machine learning, like data science, cloud computing. You know, in Canada, we're seeing things like a talent demand in tech that will continue to surge in 2026 and beyond. And you want to be positioned for these opportunities. Companies in these markets, they are desperate. And I'm going to repeat that word, desperate for talent, but not just any talent. They are desperate for people who can stand out, for people who can come in and completely change the way they work, completely change the way they grow. Now, this isn't me trying to hype you up, this is actual labor shortage data. So, like I said, this is an area where you become skilled, you are always going to have opportunities. But the thing is that despite this massive demand, a lot of people still can't break through. Not because the opportunities don't exist, not because they're not qualified, but because they don't know how to position themselves in a way that these employers recognize and trust. And that is the gap that we are going to close today. So, to put everything in a nutshell, the opportunity is real. The demand, it exists. The jobs, they are there. But the question is, do you know how to position yourself to access them? And that is exactly what the rest of this masterclass is about. Okay, now let's name the monster. Let's name it. Let's name and shame the monster. Okay, so the experience paradox. You apply for a job. They say, oh, we need someone with 2 to 3 years of experience. We need someone with 10 years of experience, but you don't have that experience. Round and round you go. So you send 50 applications, 100 applications, sometimes 200. There are some people who would advise you, especially when you're an immigrant, you just moved to a new country, they would say, just go to school, because your school, your certificate in your school, your diploma, your degree is completely useless when you move to the UK, when you move to the US, it's useless. So just go to school again, go to Cambridge or something and go get a brand new one so you can be employable in the job market. That's the worst advice ever. The worst advice. So you keep doing this, you keep sending applications, and your applications are falling into a void, complete silence, or maybe even worse, the automated rejection email. You know that? Thank you for your interest. We decided to move on with, other candidates who have more relevant, blah, blah, blah experience. And you're sitting there thinking to yourself, but I have the skills, I can do the work. Why won't anyone give me a chance? That's the question. Why won't anyone give me a chance? Now, I want to show you something completely mind blowing, and this should give you hope. This should tell you that wherever it is that you're at that point where you just moved and you're thinking, this is completely impossible. I'm not sure what's going on here. Or you are at a point where you're about to and you're preparing yourself for the realities of the markets. This should give you hope. Okay, so in 2024, 355 people got jobs after 10 analytics. And when I say after, the after, during. Now, I'm not sure what your path, getting into this masterclass was, but maybe you watched a video on YouTube, or maybe you watched one on LinkedIn, whatever that was, but you must have seen some testimonials. If you were here at the start of this, there were testimonials that were playing. You know what I really like about it? These are real people, real stories. And you can always go on their LinkedIn and DM them and say, hey, I saw your story on 10 Analytics. What was your experience like? That's the beauty of it. You can always verify the information. In 2024, 355 people got jobs during or after 10 Analytics. Now, bear in mind that for every success story that we share, there's like 100 more that never makes it to the screen. There's 100 more that never come back and tell us, hey, I got a job, but we know that so long as you have the skills, you're employable in the market. And of course, you can always come back for support. Now, in 2025, we increased that number by over 426 who got jobs after 10 Analytics. Now, I like the fact that the growth is linear. That's pretty cool. But again, that's what happens when you've cracked the strategy, when you're doing something right in the markets. Now, think about it. You could be one of these people. You could be one of these people who gets a job. So whatever confusion it is that is going on, you're not sure, oh, I want to do this. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a job. How do I make myself employable in the market? I want you to bear in mind so that number is growing. And it's not because we got lucky. It is not because the market changed to become favorable for our conditions. It is because we have a system. Because we have a system. So look at these numbers and keep that in your mind as we go ahead. These are hundreds of people. When you look at it on the screen, it doesn't seem like a lot, but imagine all of these people in one room. That's a lot. Hundreds of people, nurses who became business analysts, data analysts, teachers who became cybersecurity analysts, accountants who became financial analysts, different backgrounds, different ages, all of them different starting points, but they all had the same outcome. They all got a job. Now, what this tells you is that it's not about being special. It's not about being lucky. It's about executing a proven system. Okay? The people who got hired in 2024, they were not more talented than the people who stayed stuck. They just understood how to use the right type of experience, how to position themselves correctly, and how to access networks that create opportunity. And in 2026, this number is going to double. And I'm hoping that we've got some people on this call who are going to be one of those who share their incredible stories with us. Now, let me show you a perfect example of how this system works. A perfect example, okay? So this is Ikmat's story. Ikmat was a full-time stay-at-home mom. She lived in the UK, and she had a 2-year employment gap. She had just moved to the UK for her master's in public health, but then life happened. She became a mom. She stepped away from the workforce to focus on her family. But then at some point, Ikmat decided, hey, I want more. I think that's a feeling that, people on this call can relate to. You're here because you have a burning desire for more. Now, for Ikmat, it wasn't that, being a stay-at-home mom wasn't valuable, quite completely is, but it was because she had career ambitions. She told herself, I want to do something, I want to get back into the workforce, but I want to do something that makes me excited. But she had a problem. She applied for jobs and she immediately hit a wall. She had a 2-year employment gap, no recent work experience, no technical skills, So she was in the experience paradox, but it was from a different angle. She had education, she had intelligence, but she just couldn't prove that she could deliver in a professional role anymore. So what did Ikmat do? Ikmat joined the 10 Analytics Data Analytics program. And she did this while she was still taking care of her kids. She was managing a household. So she showed up to every live session. She completed every project. She built a portfolio that demonstrated competency-based experience. And what happened for ICMAT was in January 2024, just months after completing the program, she landed a job as an information analyst with the NHS with full visa sponsorship. Now, I want you to take that in. From a stay-at-home mom with a 2-year gap to working for one of the most respected healthcare systems in the world. Now, here's what I want you to notice about Ikmat's story. Ikmat did not wait until her kids were older. She didn't wait until she felt ready. She didn't spend the next 3 years preparing once she had made up her mind that, hey, I'm going to get into the workforce and I want to move into tech. She committed to months of intensive training. Ikmat built portfolio projects that proves that she could analyze data and deliver business value. Ikmat positioned herself as someone who could solve NHS's specific problems. And NHS said yes. So the key point is that Ikmat isn't special. She's not more talented than you are. She just executed a system. And if she can do it while managing kids, trust me, you can as well. Okay? Now, let me show you what it feels like from your perspective when you're stuck in this cycle. Look at this wheel. This wheel is your reality right now. At the top of the wheel, you've got, you have to have a minimum of 2 years of experience, and you see that on job postings. You think, but I don't have that. I've never worked in New York before. I've never worked. I moved from Kenya. I moved from Ethiopia. I've never done this before. So, are you trying to tell me that my experience in my home country is not relevant here? And for a lot of these businesses, to be very honest, it's not, because they need to understand, they need to know that you understand their business context, So they the requirements keep coming. You have to be an expert in this. You have to do so many hidden lists of qualifications that sometimes do not even make it into the job descriptions. And this will here is what is responsible for the apply, rejection, apply, rejection, apply, rejection. And you now start thinking to yourself, maybe I need to get one more skill and then I'll be ready. Maybe one more skill and then I'll be ready. But this is not going to get you the results that you need. So round and round and round you go. And this is you in the middle. You're frustrated, you're exhausted, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to find a job in the market. The checklist is endless. I call this the wheel of frustration because there are so many people, thousands of people, millions of people on this wheel every single year. But here's what I need you to understand. This wheel exists because you are trying to solve for the wrong problem. You're trying to check all the boxes, learn all the skills, meet all the requirements, but that is not how you get hired. You get hired by understanding what employers are actually looking for beneath those job postings and building on that. Now, that is what brings us to the other side of the equation, which answers the question on the other side of the wheel. So let's flip the script. Because what most people don't realize is that employers are frustrated as well. Do you think as an employer, I want to sit down and review thousands of resumes before I find the right candidate, before I find the right hire? If you've ever interviewed people before, I'm sure we have some people here who have interviewed a bunch of people. You know that process is not fun. Actually, I find it quite boring, to be very honest, except you're meeting a very interesting person and then you're having a conversation and it's really interesting. So now, yeah, we can talk. That's cool. But a lot of times you have to have a bunch of boring conversations before you meet people who are actually interesting to talk to. So the entire hiring process, to be very honest, is just a wheel of frustration. So for these employers, they are looking for the right people. They don't enjoy having to post a listing over and over and over again. They are thinking to themselves, can someone we trust vouch for you? Which is, do you have the right references? Look at what your background your background looks like, what projects have you worked on before, can this candidate add value? Can they deliver on day one? Think about it like this. One wrong hire can slow down progress and impact your revenue more than you realize. Because like I explained at the start, now you have to spend a lot of time training this person. You have to spend resources on this person. I always encourage people to do something. I encourage my mentees to always put themselves in the shoes of the recruiters. I encourage them to do what I call empathy. Empathy job seeking or job application. Apply empathy to your process and think about it like this. If I were a hiring manager and I have had to look at 1,000 resumes, I've had to look at 1,000 LinkedIn profiles, what am I looking for? Because you see, it's just a digital piece of paper and they're scanning it. But then to them, when they're scanning it, they want to see all of these things there. They want to know that, okay, so this person has experience here. This person can prove this person has business impact. And then I want to understand what this person is clearly saying in their resume without having to scratch my head, like, what is this language? I don't get it. A lot of times I always tell people that a recruiter who is recruiting for multiple roles in multiple industries is someone who is very vast. Maybe someone who is dealing with, today you're recruiting for cybersecurity, tomorrow you're recruiting for business analysis, for financial. This person probably doesn't even know what it really takes for you to be an expert in that field. So a lot of times what they are looking for is just something that they can understand. They want to see that you have proof, maybe financial analytics. They want to see that you have like a portfolio, that you have experience, and this is what will get you into the door. They want to be sure that you can deliver from day one. They are also worried that if they hire the wrong person, they are going to have to spend the next 6 to 9 months training them. They want people who can hit the ground running and start adding value immediately. And trust me when I say that your interview starts from the moment your resume is submitted on the table of the recruiter. So that is where you want to start to prove things like, I've done this before and I can do it again in your business. Now, the hiring manager is thinking to themselves, I'll never find a good hire in this market. The search is endless, and you're there personalizing it and thinking that the problem is about you. When really for them, the problem is that they want someone who has proof of capability, someone who can provide good references. They want someone who has evidence that they can deliver from day one. When you can do all of this, you are no longer a risky, and in some cases, risky international candidate. You become a pre-validated professional. And suddenly, both wheels stop spinning and a match is made because you understand the game. Now, to stress this point, I'm going to make this more concrete with an analogy that everyone can understand. So you want a wedding dress and a suit, maybe for your own wedding, or maybe for a family. And let's say it's your own wedding. You're getting married. It's the happiest day of your life. And you're thinking to yourself, I want to wear a gorgeous dress. I want to wear a gorgeous suit, and in this case, you do need a tailor who can put all of this fantastic fits together. So you walk into Tailor A shop. You've got two options that you're considering. When you walk into Tailor A shop, you see that Tailor A has a certificate plastered on the wall. It's encased. It looks fantastic. It's beautiful. Got it from Paris, one of the best fashion schools there, and you're thinking to yourself, oh yeah, you're bougie. I can see that you can deliver because you've got a fancy certificate, right? But then you don't see anything else. It's really just the certificate. So you say to yourself, okay, so you're Tailor 1 that I'm considering because I can see that you have, a nice certificate and you can probably do it, Now, Tailor B, you walk into Tailor B shop and you see beautiful showcases. You see lovely gowns that Tailor B has made before. Tailor B presents you with a catalog and says, hey, look at what I've done before. And you're looking through it and you're saying, oh my goodness, you were the one who did this. Oh, this society wedding, this was so beautiful. You made this, What tailor are you likely to go for? Are you going to go for tailor A, who has a fancy certificate on the wall? Or are you going to go for tailor B, who has a catalog? You've seen tailor B's TikTok page. You've seen tailor B's Instagram page. You've walked into tailor B's shop. You've felt the material. You see that it looks nice. You've seen it with your own eyes. Which tailor are you likely to go with? I would like you to answer this question, because if you can answer this question, then trust me, you can definitely implement empathy when it comes to your job search. Okay, so we're seeing tailor B, tailor B, tailor B. Exactly, you would go for tailor B. But then the question is, why would you go for tailor B? So everybody's saying tailor B, tailor B. Why would you go for tailor B? What does tailor B have that tailor A does not have? Who wants to answer that question for us? What does tailor B have? Results. Thank you so much. Evidence, portfolio, proof of skill. Fantastic. Evidence that he can deliver. Thank you. Amen. We're seeing so many. This is amazing. We're seeing, okay, skill, experience. Okay. Yeah. So many ways that you can put it. Everything comes down to one thing. You have to show that you can actually do it. You have to show that you can walk the talk, because what I'm looking for, or what you are looking for in this case, is someone who you would pay and you know that this person is not going to disappoint you. They are going to deliver 100% what has been agreed on. So tailor B every single time. And this is not because tailor A is not skilled. Now, here's the thing. Maybe tailor A is actually even more talented than tailor B. Maybe they have better skills. Maybe they've learned a lot in this school in Paris. But the problem is that they cannot verify that, or we cannot verify that. There is no validation, there is no proof, there is no guarantee. And when it's your wedding, when the stakes are high, you're not taking risks on an unproven talent. So here, how does this connect to your job search? It is a big investment. It is high stakes for these companies. If they get it wrong, it costs them months of productivity, maybe even years, and tens of thousands of pounds. So who do you think they're hiring? I think it's Japan. I think it's Japan, but I'm not really sure. So maybe you verify that. But I believe that in Japan, when they hire a wrong talent or someone, they just don't want that person in the company anymore. Maybe because obviously you're not doing your job well. They can't fire you, because that's how tight labor laws are. They will just try to find every single way to frustrate you. So they'll be giving you meaningless tasks and saying, hey, just type this document, type this out. They give you a document, print it out, and say, just type it out again, or just go make photocopies for the entire day, just trying to frustrate you into feeling like your life isn't going anywhere in this company, your career isn't progressing, so you can just leave. But do you see how hiring one bad talent, how much time it costs the company? So in that case, you don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that they see and they just know that, yeah, this is the right person for us to go with. So like I said, when the stakes are high, your credentials matter, your validation matters, your proof matters. Okay, so the question is, how do you go from tailor A to tailor B in the eyes of recruiters? Because trust me when I say it is 100% possible. Now, I want you to look at this pyramid, because this is how employers actually value different types of experience. Okay, so let's start with tier 3. This is the least valuable, and this is like geography-based experience. When you say something like, oh, I worked in London for 2 years, Now, most people think that this is what international employers want. They think that in order for me to get a job, I need to show that I have worked here before, which is fine. For a lot of companies, what they want, one of the things they want is they want to be sure that you have context, Western context, that you've worked in this area before, and you know how to relate with your colleagues, and you understand how business moves here, right? That's also a very important part of the process, but that is not just it. Okay. Now, this is because companies realized during COVID, this is one of the contributing factors, that your location does not determine your performance. And in many cases, diversity is also another important part as well that helps move the workforce forward. So we're not really looking at, are you in this country? And this is to highlight like remote opportunities. So you can be in Kenya, you can be in Ghana, in Uganda, in India, wherever that is, and your talent is 100% employable in the UK, in US, in Canada. And if you leave where you are and move to these places, it is also not a blocker. Why? Because diversity. And again, because your talent really is the most important thing, the most valuable thing. Okay, now, tier two, which is more valuable. I worked as a business analyst in fintech for 2 years. Now, this is valuable, more valuable in this case, because it is transferable. If you've worked in fintech, you understand the industry. I'm talking regulatory environments, you understand customer behavior, you understand common challenges. So when you think about it, if you want to like maybe if you move and you move to like say in the financial, you become a financial analyst, this sort of experience is something that would be relevant when you make a transition. And then even in cases where you weren't even directly working in that industry, so long as you have what we call transferable skills, it's still a valuable experience. I'll give you an example. If you were a teacher, you're thinking, oh, I'm a teacher, or I used to work as a teacher, and I want to move into tech. But you see, there's a disconnect because teaching and tech, where is the relationship? In this case, you have experience managing stakeholders, most definitely. You've managed not just your students, a bunch of students, noisy students in the classroom for that matter. So I'm also going to add, the ability to be calm under pressure. But then you've also managed, the parents. So say, for example, a parent comes into the class and is like, oh, I'm so pissed off. You gave my child too much homework. And, they're going off. They're very angry about it. And you just manage to calm them down and say, oh, I'm so sorry about it. So this is why we notice that your child is skilled in blah, 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 blah. And then you calm that parent down. And then both of you reach a resolution together. In this case, what you've been able to do is stakeholder management, because that situation could have escalated beyond that. This is a skill that is useful for business analysts, for project managers, understanding how to manage stakeholders. Or maybe you were a stay-at-home mom, so you were, or stay-at-home dad, who knows, and maybe you were the one managing the finances of the house. So you got a certain amount of dollars every month, and you had to ensure that, there was groceries in the house. So in this case, you do have accounting skills that is 100% transferable. But now let's talk about tier one, which is the most valuable. This is competency-based experience. I've successfully solved these 5 specific blah, 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 blah with measurable business outcomes. Now, this is the winner every single time, because for companies, what they are looking for, their priority is, can you solve my problem? That is what these companies want to know. That is what you need to communicate to them. You need to communicate to these companies that there is proof that you've done this before. Like I said, this is the main thing that gets you hired. So when you say things like, I analyzed customer churn and identified retention strategies that saved 200K annually. I optimized a process that reduced cost by 40 hours a week. You are providing proof that you can deliver. Now, remember what I said about HR professionals, a lot of them not even really understanding the roles that they are recruiting for, unless, of course, you are a HR manager who, for your entire life, you've only focused on one. Maybe you've been recruiting project managers over and over again. Now, because you've been doing that for like 5-10 years, you now know what a project manager needs to have in order for them to be a good hire. But when you're recruiting today, project manager, tomorrow, cybersecurity, tomorrow, machine learning engineer, tomorrow you're recruiting for something else, DevOps engineering. Trust me, in many cases, they don't know. So what even gets you through that door, first of all, what gets you there is putting your business context, your impact in a language that, first of all, they can understand. And then also building a portfolio as well to show and demonstrate that impact. But remember again, this brings us right back to how do you get this experience, without a job? We're going to answer that question as we move ahead. But first, it is very important that you are able to show competency-based experience. Now, some people will have like maybe tier 3, and they think they're good. But tier 3 is not going to get you the results that you need in the market, especially now that it's becoming so competitive, super competitive. We're seeing lots of amazing talent every day who are coming into the industry. So how do you stand out? Some people have tier 2, which is, oh, I moved from healthcare. Maybe I worked in the care industry, and then I moved from that to data analytics, maybe health informatics or something. So there's heavy context from where you're coming from, between where you're coming from and what you are doing now. So those people have like advantages. But then again, when you put all of these three together, this is what is guaranteed to get you the results that you need. Okay, so keep that in mind as you go on, not just tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 alone, but combining all three is what will get you the results that you need. Okay, now we're going to get to the heart of it. You submit your resume. It lands on, the recruiter's desk, or maybe it has to go through the ATS first. How many people know what the ATS is? How many people know? I mean, at this point, you have to know what the ATS is. You should totally Google it. You should Google it, but I'm going to try to explain what the ATS is to you if you don't know what it is. So it's an automated system now that a lot of companies are using in their hiring processes. It's completely changed the game. It's made things so much easier for recruiters. But then for people who are looking for jobs, it now means that you have to be smarter and you have to change the way you are applying for jobs. So before, all of your application would probably go into an email address, and then the recruiter has to look through each of it. But now it's funnels through a system that is designed to pick out keywords. So the system is going to be checking for, okay, so, in the job description, we mentioned something like Power BI. Does this person have Power BI mentioned on their resume? If you do not, then the system assumes that you do not have understanding or knowledge when it comes to that. You are filtered out. So you see that from the moment you click on that button, apply, in many cases, I'm going to go out and say like in 90% of cases, you are already being filtered by a robot. So you have to ensure, first of all, that you are getting through that. Now, when your resume eventually lands on the desk of a real person, when they're looking through it, they have 30 seconds, maybe 45, if you're lucky, to decide if they're going to interview or reject you. So what are they actually looking for in those 30 seconds? Most people think that employers are reading every line of their resume. You think they are sitting down to read your resume like a novel, carefully considering your qualifications and giving you a fair assessment. Trust me, that is not what's happening. I had to look through about 30 resumes the other day, and I did it in like 10 minutes and selected like the four best resumes, and I skimmed through it. So trust me when I say no one is going to sit down and read your resume like a novel. The only ones I sat down and I read properly were the ones that I knew, okay, so now I've created my short list and it's the guys I want to talk to. So I'm going to now sit down and look through your resume properly. So what employers, recruiters are scanning for are what we can call trust signals. Okay, we can call those trust signals. They're not scanning for, does this person know Python? They assume that you know Python because you said so. What they're thinking is, can we trust this person? Does this person have proof? Does this person have the proper background? And this is in cases where, an ATS has most likely already scanned your resume, and now it's gotten to the human part. Does this person have evidence that they can solve the problems that we need? So they are looking at what they posted. Oh, we need a data analyst who has experience in e-commerce, right? So maybe this was a job that was posted by Amazon, and Amazon was looking for a data analyst. Now, you know that if Amazon is going to hire a data analyst, that data analyst has to understand how e-commerce works. If not, what are you coming here to do? To count rice? So in this case, when the recruiter is looking at the resume of this person, the recruiter will be asking themselves questions like, what have you done? Where have you worked before? What experience do you have? They would go and look at the portfolio of this person to be sure that you have e-commerce context. And this is why it is so important. You're out here applying for jobs without a portfolio. You're putting yourself at a major disadvantage because they want to be sure that you understand what they are looking for. If NASA, Tenalytics, and Amazon are all hiring a business analyst, trust me when I say it would be completely different. It's still a business analyst, right? That's what all three companies are looking for, all three organizations, but it's completely different. What NASA is looking for is someone who understands their industry. What Amazon is looking for is someone who understands their industry. The same thing with Tenalytics. And this is why it's so important that whenever it is that you're applying, do the first thing, which is you ensure that your resume is already customized. Keywords, you want to read through the job description, understand their context, and then you build your profile in that light. Now, if it is something that, if it's e-commerce, you've worked on an e-commerce project before, you want to highlight your projects that you've worked on that are related to that industry. Because trust me, when your resume gets to that point, this is what recruiters, employers are looking out for. Nobody wants to hire someone and then take a chance on them and say, and in the next couple of months, they're not performing. There are some cases where there will be exceptions, for exceptional talent, where this person has proven immense value in other industries. But you don't want to take that chance. You want to ensure that when you're applying for jobs, and this is also another reason why when it comes to your job application, it has to be strategic, not just spray and pray. Not you are applying here, you're applying there. You want to be sure that you're applying in a specific industry, or whenever you're applying, you're changing the content of your resume. You're putting other projects first. You're changing the words that you use, the language you use to match the job description. So first thing, it can pass through the ATS. And then when it gets to the table of the person who is reviewing it, they can see that you have context in this industry. Okay, so now let's talk about the framework. I call this the pillar framework. The 4 pillars of building experience that international employers recognize. So I want you to think of this like a building, and each pillar supports the structure. So remove one pillar and the whole thing becomes unstable. We need all 4 working together in order to support the pillar so that it can stand upright. Now, this is where you build actual skills. Here, this is where you build actual skills by solving real business problems in pillar 1, which is structured project-based learning. Okay, so this is not copying codes from, Stack Overflow or watching YouTube tutorials. I'm talking about building portfolio projects that mirror what you would do in an actual job. And this matters because employers want to see, can this person solve problems like mine? Your portfolio projects are the proof. So like I said, people who are applying to jobs and they are applying without portfolios, they are already at a serious disadvantage. So whatever it is that you're doing, take your job game to the next level by ensuring you have a structured project-based portfolio that can prove that you understand the context of this person's industry, and above all of that, that you understand businesses and how to solve their problems. Now, pillar 2, which is your professional portfolio, to show and not tell. This is about documentation. This is about how you present your work. I've been talking about portfolio, but most people just dump projects on GitHub. Most people just go on Canva and they go create some random website, or they go on Wix and they create a random website and just dump a bunch of things there, and it's just not organized. You need a professional case study that can tell a complete story. Otherwise, it simply doesn't work. So, like I mentioned at the start, a lot of these recruiters who are holding the gate to what you want, who are standing at the gate, rather, to between you and what you want, they don't even understand these roles that they're recruiting for. They don't understand, and many of them are tired. They've gone over this conversation so many times. They just want the right person so they can close it. So, how do you make this easy for them? When you build your portfolio, your case study, you want to answer a couple of questions like, what was the business problem? What was your approach? What did you discover? What was your measurable impact? What did you recommend? How did you solve the problem? This is just one of the ways that you can think about how to structure your portfolio. Because when you document your work this way, you are showing that you think like a professional, not a student. You are showing this, especially for people who don't really understand what they are recruiting for. You are making things very easy for them. And when they can understand what you're talking about, then you would most likely be shortlisted. Okay? Because in this case, you've also proven that you have experience in that background, or in that area. Okay? Now, the third pillar is cross-cultural professional development. This is, I would call this soft skill, okay? This is a soft skill that a lot of people ignore. So when I spoke about, the Western context, a lot of times one thing that, some people would worry about is, can this person communicate in our business culture? Will they understand certain things? Can they present to stakeholders effectively? So even while you're working on making yourself standard in these areas, working on building your experience, working on building a killer portfolio, working on making your resume fantastic, you also have to work on the presentation aspect as well, because this is part of what will get you inside the door. When you get that 1 minute, that 2 minutes phone call with the recruiter, the way you speak, the way you present yourself, this is part of what will move you to the next stage. Okay, and this shows in everything. It shows in the way your LinkedIn is structured. It shows in the way your professional portfolio, your professional profile, and all of that is structured. Now, pillar 4, strategic network access for references. So if you're only applying, through job boards, then you're competing in a crowded space. So when I say job boards, I'm talking about your LinkedIn, I'm talking about Indeed. All of these are crowded. Everybody knows them. Those jobs that you see on LinkedIn where you can already see like 100 people have applied. And when you click on it, trust me, that job is being funneled through an ATS. And in this case, maybe you've already gotten like thousands of applications. How in the world do you even hope to stand out in a crowded space like that? Now, one of the things that we do at 10 Analytics is that when you join our program, you get access to our job board, our job tracker, and a bunch of other resources that are designed to help you streamline your job search. Now, I want you to understand one crucial thing. It's not like when you use LinkedIn and Indeed and all of these job boards, like you will not get the results that you're looking for. You will, but it will take some time. It will take some time. There are a bunch of options, other options that are paid. For some people, it's, I'm not really sure I want to pay for it. I'm not sure that I'm going to get value out of this. And this is, like I said, this is part of what you get when you join 10 Analytics. Every week, you get new jobs that you can apply to. And one of the benefits of this is that the competition is not as fierce as you would find it in crowded spaces like LinkedIn or crowded spaces like Indeed. So while I would still encourage that you apply through those routes, you also need to take advantage of spaces that are not populated all that much. So when you combine all of this, this is part of what gets you, or this is what gets you the results that you are looking for. You need all four to support your pillar, okay? And at 10 Analytics, we build all four systematically. I'm talking 6 months of project-based learning, professional portfolio development, because how do you go from where you are right now to where you need to be? Someone has to show you how to do it. Cross-cultural professional training. You also need to learn when it comes to, the business context in the Western world, and then you also gain access as well to the 10 Analytics network of resources that helps make your job search easier. So do you remember at the start when I said over 3,000 success, over 3,000 people have passed through our doors and then gotten the results that they are looking for? Because for us, it is not about who comes in and gets a skill. If that was the case, then trust me, our numbers would be so much higher than that. But it's really about getting results. How consistent are you? How consistent are you so that you can get the result that you're looking for? And for every single person who comes in, their goal, the main reason they are upskilling is because they want a job. So that is how we can say we've been successful, getting you a job. And that is part of what everything, this pillar I just walked you through, that is what it is built on. That is the end goal of this. So now the question is, how do you translate your skills into job-ready experience? You've built the skills. How do you actually do this? How do you become job-ready? How do you become job-ready? Now, I wanted to talk about Hope's story. I would say that Hope is one of the most inspirational stories that we have in Analytics, even though we have a bunch of them. Hope had projects management and Scrum Master certifications. So in her case, she wasn't starting from zero, like a lot of our participants are. She had invested her time and her money into getting certified. So she had already solved the certificate aspects. But the problem was that she couldn't land a job in Canada, despite all of her certifications, despite all the skills that she had. Hope was stuck in a loop of skills versus experience. She was stuck in what we have already identified as the experience paradox. And why was this? Because certificates alone do not equal job-ready experience. Do you think that the recruiters did not know that Hope was skilled? So when they looked at her, at what she had, they were like, oh, interesting. Okay, she has a project management certification. That is cool. Obviously, you don't just go and buy it off the internet. You obviously must have gone through the program for you to get it. But that does nothing for them because you don't show what you have done. You cannot show your proof. You can't show that, oh, this is what I use this to solve. So you might be thinking, she already has the certificate, why did she need another program? Why did she need to come into analytics and solve her problem? This is because she needed the other pillars that we've already identified. Hope needed portfolio projects that demonstrated that she could manage real projects. Hope needed professional documentation showing her business outcomes. Hope needed to understand how to package herself and present herself to ensure that they could see the value that she had. And these are things that having a skill just doesn't give you. Because it's one thing for you to have a skill. It's another thing entirely for you to say, for you to prove that you have that skill. And that's exactly why Hope joined our program. Now, here's a fantastic thing. 3 months later, because remember, in Hope's case, she already had the skill. The problem was she just didn't know how to present it in the market. 3 months later, this was in December 2024, Hope secured a job as a project analyst. Just 3 months later, from being stuck despite having the right certificates to getting hired within 3 months. What changed? What changed in Hope's story? Like I said, she proves that she could do the job. So she used the experience in analytics, and then she used that to propel herself into the career path that she always wanted. And that is the difference between having skills and being job ready. They are two completely different things. So Hope Story is linked here. I would have loved to play it, but we just don't have the time. So this is one of the reasons why you need to fill out the form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat section, so you can get access to the slides that I'm using, and you can watch some of these videos in your own time, and then hear it from the horse's mouth. In Hope's case, hear it from her mouth, how her life completely changed when she joined the 10 Analytics Agile Project Management program. So in your case, maybe you already have the skills, maybe you have some certifications, or maybe you're stuck because you don't have the complete package that makes employers say yes. Wherever it is that you're at, we have a solution for you, okay? So now I would like to pose a question to the house. We've spoken about a bunch of things, and I think that at this point in our conversation, we should be able to answer this question. What do employers want from you? If you cannot answer this question, I'd be very, very worried. Remember I said at the start that this is our first live class, okay? So what do employers want from you? What do employers want from you? Is there anyone who can help us answer that question? What do employers want from you? And this is a hint on the screen. Employers want two things. Anyone wants to help us answer that question? A hint, they want two things from you. Okay? Let's keep the responses coming in. What do employers want from you? Okay, solve problems, skills and reliability, competence, trust, experience, fantastic, skills and experience, fantastic, portfolio. You guys, yes, fantastic. You're really here with me, okay? Because you're getting this knowledge and skills. Fantastic, yes. Employers want skills. So think about it. You own a business. Don't you want to hire someone who has the skill to do the job? That is what you want. It's the bare minimum. You have to have the skill. But having the skill is not enough. Because remember Hope's story, she had the skill. So what else do you need to complement that? You need experience. So two things, and carry this with you wherever it is that you go today. If you choose to join, if you choose to not join, that is fine. But do carry this with you, whatever it is that you're doing, skills and experience. This will get you into the door every single time, so long as you can demonstrate that you have the skill and you have the experience. We're not going to be Taylor A's in 2026. Every single one here should aim to be Taylor B. But now the questions. How do you build the skills required for you to stand out? How do you build the skills? We're getting to the practical execution piece. Yeah? You understand what you need to build, but how do you actually build it? Because this is the trap that most people fall into. They try to build these skills on their own, maybe through random tutorials, scattered online courses, free webinars, and then they end up with fragmented knowledge that has gaps they don't even know exist. They waste their months, their time, years that they could have actually used getting into a new career path. Because trust me, it doesn't take 3-4 years for you to break into a new career path. It just takes a couple of months. And that's the beauty of tech. Remember back in our parents' days when you wanted to make a transition, you would learn for a long time. Even when you become an apprentice, you would have to spend years learning before you can start doing this on your own. That is the beauty of tech. You can be in any industry right now, but so long as you're a smart person, so long as you're willing to learn, to commit yourself to being consistent, trust me, you can break into tech. It is way easier than you think. You don't even have to have a technical background. So standing out, isn't about learning more skills than everyone else. It is about building the right skills in the right way with the right positioning. But now the question is, so I'm ready to stand out. I'm ready. I want to stand out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to post this to the house. Yeah, I want to be sure we're all ready before I go into it. So I'm not giving you advice that you don't want to hear. Are you ready to stand out? That's the question. So we can get into the execution piece right now, and I can show you how you can stand out. Are you ready to stand out in the job market? In 2026, are you ready to take the bull by its horns and stand out? Take complete control of your career trajectory and be one of those people who are hitting milestones every time you open LinkedIn. Someone is hitting a new milestone. Are you ready to be one of them? And I want you to focus, 100% focus on this, because this is the area, this is the part where we are going to choose what career path you want to get into. So focus on this. Now, before you choose a career path that you want to get into, okay, fantastic. I'm saying yes. Oh, I love how pumped up everyone is. Active. I like that word, active. I love how pumped up we are. I am ready. Okay, fantastic. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we do this, we have to show we have a couple of career paths in front of us. We've identified these career paths, but then for you to understand just how valuable it is, I want you to see something. Stay with me here. Okay, so what we have done is we have identified career paths that have massive demand and accessible entry points. I'm going to say that again. Massive demand and accessible entry points. Other paths are either oversaturated or require years of specialized experience, or the most important thing, are simply not on the job list of jobs that would be relevant or skills that would be relevant in the next 5 years to come. Remember what I said at the start? We are not going for jobs that would be flushed out of the system in the next 2 years. We are going for jobs that will make us a beast in the market for years to come. Trust me, like fine wine, you're only going to get better at it. The demand is only going to grow for people who are skilled in this area. Now, how do we know this? We're not sages. We're not psychic. Now, we did this by doing a couple of things. The first thing is a job board analysis. A job board analysis. And we did not just look at one job board. We did a 3-layer analysis, and this is the first one. We looked at job boards like LinkedIn, like Built-in, like Indeed, like Monster, and we asked ourselves, what jobs are we seeing high demand in? Which ones are being posted a lot? Which ones have the highest salaries in different locations? And then what we did is that we compared this to documentation from the World Economic Forum, from the Future of Jobs report. We compared this with what the data is telling us. What are the jobs that are going to be relevant in the next 5 years? What jobs are these? What industries are these jobs in? That's what we did. And then for the final step, we did a regional analysis. Now, what we did is we did a deep research on the exact visa pathways in the UK, in the US, in Canada. Are these jobs that are in high demand in these areas? So that for people like you, or maybe your sister or your brother, or maybe even you on the call who is maybe you're relocating to a new country, you've relocated to a new country, or you're in your home country and you want to be employable anywhere in the world, we're looking at we're looking at what jobs are going to be relevant in these locations, in these geographic locations. Do they pay well? And then for how long are these jobs going to be relevant for? Now, when we did all of this, we ranked all of this, it gave us a couple of courses, okay? It gave us a couple of courses. Now, I want you to focus on this. Business analyst, data analyst, data scientist, agile projects management, data engineer, cybersecurity, HR, HR, financial analysts, and a bunch of others. We have new ones that we just recently added, like DevOps and product design. Let me just go back to that. DevOps and product design, which are new ads right now. And this is because we've noticed what the trend looks like and what growth in this area looks like. So one of the things that we do when we're adding jobs to our list, when we're building our courses, when we're building a curriculum, is that we're looking at, does this make you employable anywhere in the world? Because if all it can give you is a skill, then you've wasted your time. The goal is, I want to get a job. I want to be employable. So that's what we're looking at. And then another goal is, when I get a job, that job has to be high paying. Because what's the use of doing a job if it's not giving me enough money? So that's part of what we're looking at. We look at all of this and then we rank them, and then this is the result. These are the jobs that are high demand, high paying all over the world. You learn any of this one here on the screen, from business analysis to cybersecurity to HR analyst, and you are employable in Berlin, in Toronto, in New York, in any part of the world. You are employable. So long, of course, as you're skilled, you know how to package and how to stand out in the market. Okay, so now I want to show you something real quick. I want you to see this section on my screen. Here we have data engineering. And if you look at the pathways that have been identified for data engineering, we have big data specialists, we have data warehousing specialists, we have a bunch of pathways that have been identified. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4, database and network professionals. So when I say something like data engineering, I am not locking you into one path. There are a bunch of doors that data engineering is capable of opening up for you. You could become a big data specialist, or you could become a data warehousing specialist, or any other one. So there are what I call subcategories under these main categories. And what that means is that, so even though the wording changes, it's no longer data engineering, it's now database and network engineering. The goal is still the same thing. And this opens, like I said, so many career pathways for you. For data analytics and data science, you could move into AI and machine learning. You could move into any role at all that involves AI and machine learning, or you could move into insights. Okay, this is data analytics. So this is AI and machine learning, and then data analyst and scientists. And by the way, this is a snapshot that is taken out of the world, the future of jobs report. So again, fill out the form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat section, so you can always check this out on your own time and look through it and see all of these jobs that are listed there. Okay, so this is not guesswork. All of these jobs are listed in the future of jobs report. Now, I want you to quickly look at the side here. Just look at the side where we have these purple bars. So these purple bars are representing jobs that are going out of demand. These are jobs that are being automated away by AI. Now, we know that ever since AI was introduced, AI has completely and is completely changing the way the world works, the way industries work. So if you're in a career path that can easily be automated, something that can easily be replaced, there is no better time for you to move into a different career path than right now, and move into something that is not easily replaced. For example, shop salespersons. Now that we have AI, we have self-checkout systems. It's very easy. We don't have to have anyone behind the counter. If we do, it's just for the sake of ceremony. So for many companies that are optimizing and looking for not just how can we be tech forward, but how can we save money and take our revenue up? For many of these companies, many of these jobs are being automated away. So you want to ensure that whatever it is that you do, that you are on the side that is not easily replaced. and where there is proven high demand. I've already identified a bunch of these career paths for you. Business analysis, cybersecurity, data analytics, data engineering. You want to ensure that these are the career paths that you are on. Okay? Now, I'm just going to quickly show you what skills you have to learn. Just a minute. Let me just take this out. I'm not sure why this is on my screen. Oh, all of these, let me just go back to what I was sharing earlier. Hold on. Okay. I'm just going to share my screen again, just a minute. Not sure why that shifted. Okay, fantastic. Okay. Yes. So, like I was saying, I'm so sorry about that for the small interruption. But if you decide to go for any of these career paths that are listed on this other aspect, on this other side, you're going for a career path that is secure for the next couple of years to come. This is a career path that will ensure that you are employable in the market. So data engineering, data analytics, data science, business analysis, cybersecurity, and others. Now, for people who don't really understand what these titles are, I'm just going to quickly explain it to you before I head into the next one. Just quickly. What do data engineers do? I hope I'm not confusing you with all my tech, but what do data engineers do? Data engineers are responsible for ensuring that data pipelines are built to ensure that the right data goes into the right place. So without data engineers, we will just have a lot of data in different places, but then there's no organization. Now, every day, trillions and trillions, if at every second, billions of data is generated. And this data is insight. This data tells us what is working in a company, what they need to do better, what is broken. But if no one is building the pathways and telling the data, hey, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, everything is going to be scattered, and then businesses cannot make sense of what is working and what isn't. And this is where data engineers come into play. And do you know one of the most fantastic parts of this, and one of the reasons why this is a job that will never, ever go out of style? Because when it comes to data and when it comes to data itself, like I mentioned, billions of data is being generated every day. Now, for data analytics, data analysts are the ones who would look at the data that has been sorted into different categories, and then they would interpret what that data means. Data analysts are the ones who would say things like, okay, we sold 20% more in New York, and that probably means that our campaign is working. We sold this between February 21st to February 28th, and that was when we launched this campaign. And for businesses, that means that they can double down on what is working and then say, hey, we're going to toss this idea out because it isn't working, because you understand what the data is telling you. For data scientists, they are the ones responsible for that dopamine fix, that dopamine hits that you have when you open your TikTok or when you open your Instagram. You know how your algorithm always seems to know what you would like? And how things that would seem interesting are always being suggested to you when you open your Instagram app. Yeah, your data scientists are responsible for that, because based off the way you are interacting or based off your data, the data scientists would predict what you would most likely be interested in. They would say, hey, so I think this person would most likely be interested in a video about cats, because this person has interacted with a bunch of videos and a bunch of content about cats before. That is what data scientists do. So they use the past data to predict the future. For business analysts, they're the ones who would come in and say, this process is broken, let's automate it. Business analysts are the ones who would come in and they would see what the business needs, and then they would interpret that to the technical team and say, this is what you need to build in order for the business to move to the next level. Cybersecurity analysts or specialists are the reasons why you can go on Amazon and put in your card confidently, on Netflix and put in your card confidently, and you are sure that your details are not going to get hacked because it's being secured by people who work in this field. HR analysts are the people who would ensure that they are predicting what is happening today so they can build the workforce for tomorrow and for the present as well. And then we've got a bunch of others like product design as well. You know how Instagram's UI keeps on changing and how different things, different buttons keeps on moving around, and just the look and feel of Instagram itself. Yeah, that is product design. So what feeling does this bring out of you when you look at the design, when you look at the colors, the layouts? That's product design, and a bunch of others as well. But the one thing that all of these career paths that I have just listed, the one thing they all have in common is that they are all high demand and they all pay incredibly high. Okay, so now the next thing is, what skills are required in order for you to land these high demand jobs? But before we go into that, there is one thing that you do need to be sure of. You need to be sure of what career path suits you. I've spoken about business analysis, cybersecurity, a bunch of career paths. You need to be sure which one of them is a fit for you. And this is why we built a quiz, and this was done by professionals who have had conversations with lots of people who are looking to transition into a different career path. So we came up with a quiz that can help predict what career path would most likely be a good fit for you. Now, I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why it's very important that you match your personality with your career path. There was someone who she took one of our programs, and she was in the cybersecurity program. About 2 months in, she came in and she said, she's not sure she can continue again. And we have a system where we have conversations with everyone. If you want to drop off, we have a conversation, because a lot of times these are things that can easily be sorted out. Maybe you need more support. Maybe you have questions and no one is answering. And this is where we come in and we help you. So we had a conversation with her. And what she said was that she came from the banking industry. So she was in the banking industry and she moved to cybersecurity. If you've been listening to what I've been saying, you can tell that there's already a huge disconnect. You do not move from the banking industry to cybersecurity. It's not going to work. So for her, that shift was jarring and it just wasn't connecting. And that's why she felt like she was in the wrong career path. So we had to redirect her and find another path that was the best fit for her. So it's very important when you're making a transition like this that you go for something that aligns with your personality, something that you love to do. And this is why we built the tech quiz. Okay, my colleagues are going to be dropping this link in the chat section. It's important that you take the quiz. It's a very quick, I'm also just going to quickly drop it as well. It doesn't take a lot of time for you to complete the quiz. It only takes you a couple of minutes and you are very sure about what the next thing for your career is when it comes to tech. I'm just going to, okay, fantastic. Thank you for dropping the link, Damilola. So you can take the quiz, and this is only going to take you what? Say 5 minutes at most, maybe even less than 5 minutes, and you're very sure about what career path is the best fit for you. So are you the kind of person who would excel in cybersecurity? Are you the kind of person who would excel in, Daniela, you're raising a hand. Daniela, is this an error? Okay, all right. Are you the kind of person who would excel in cybersecurity? Or are you the kind of person who would excel in data analytics? Whatever that looks like, take the quiz so that you're very sure that you're selecting the best career path for yourself. And please, when you take the quiz, drop your link in the chat section so we can all see what you were suggested or what you recommended rather. So you can take the quiz as we go on. We're getting ready to wrap up right now. So if you have any questions, start getting ready with your questions. So what is the best way for you to learn? What is the best way for you to learn? Now we have, over the years, we have come up with a system that has worked over and over again for thousands of people. It's a hybrid approach. That's what I call it. It's the self-paced learning combined with life learning. So think about it like this. When you are learning how to drive, you have to first understand. I don't know about other people, but I love to read manuals. I don't know if that's a thing. I know some people don't like to read manuals, but I do love to read manuals because I like to understand what I'm going to be operating. So you read your manual and then you go to class. Someone trying to say something. Daniela. Okay, I'm just going to mute. All right. I'm sure that's an error. Okay, so imagine you're trying to learn and you're just learning with one system alone. Now, we found that in a lot of setups, so take for example, in a setup like Coursera, you only go with one, and that is self-paced learning materials. I'm sure that we have people who have paid for Coursera before, Udemy and others like those. And then, you start learning. And what we've seen in many of these cases is that there's a high percentage of drop-offs, a high percentage of drop-offs. And that is if even after you get it and you get your certificate, if you're able to use that to get a job. And that's because a lot of times people need other people to learn. And that's one of the things that really sets Analytics apart. It's how community driven we are, how focused on the people element. So in this case, we're combining two different systems, which is self-paced learning and then live instructions, where you can come into class and you can ask questions about what you've learned. You can talk to other people as well who are also on the same level that you are. You're also sorted into pods as well. So you've got this community that you can always reach out to for help. You have your facilitators. You can come into live classes and ask questions. And then you also have videos that you can watch whenever it is that you want. When you're cooking, when you're cleaning, when you're driving, in that I would advise just listening when you're driving, not watching. But you catch my drift. So it's combining two different models that has given us the best result. So again, when you are learning in a project-based environment. And then based off everything that you are learning here, this is what you use to build your portfolio. Remember what we discussed, the portfolio that can prove that you have experience in this field. This is how you start building it, okay? This is how you start building it. Now, 3, you need to gain experience to show employers that you are the best candidate. We've been talking about experience, but how do you gain this experience? Now, remember, I just showed you how you learn in class. Now, you build projects when you are in class. And when these projects that you are building these projects for your portfolio. And this is what you can use to provide proof to employers that I have done this before. This is how you build your experience. Now, one thing we always encourage people to do is as soon as you sign up on Analytics, you can just go on your LinkedIn and then add yourself as a consultant in Analytics. Now, if I was a recruiter and I was checking out your profile, I would see that you're a consultant in Analytics, and already that has given you Western experience because now you've got a Canadian company listed in your profile. And this is part of it. This is part of the step that a lot of people miss when they are making the transition, not just in their career path, but then geographically as well, because you don't have this backing. You have the skills, but you do not have context in this area. So you add yourself, you add Analytics, and you add yourself as a consultant in Analytics. Now, another thing is 2 months internship with Amdari. So the way the class is structured is that It's an 8-month program. You learn for 6 months. And for this 6 months, you are learning in class, you are watching videos, you are going to live classes. And then after 6 months, you move to Amdari, where you spend the next 2 months. And then in this case, you can also list Amdari as well on your LinkedIn. Now we've gone from 1 to 2. Where you had just analytics before, now you have Amdari, so which means you have 2 experience listed on your profile. This is double value. But aside from that, it's beyond learning. You are also getting the opportunity for an internship. And then during this period, this is also where you strengthen your evidence of work, which is your portfolio. Now, don't worry about it. You don't know how to build a portfolio. You don't know where to start. You've never done it before. Don't worry about it. We're going to support you through that process. We're going to hold your hands and we're going to teach you how you can do this and how you can build a world-class portfolio that would make you stand out in the market. Okay? Now, I want to quickly tell you Atinuke's story. She joined us in February 2025 and she got a job in November 2025 in the UK. For Atinuke, the main thing that she wanted was to land a high-paying job. That was what Atinuke.
Sorry, we can't see your screen. Sorry.
You can't see my screen?
Yes, it's showing the quiz.
Showing the quiz. Okay. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and then I'm going to share my screen again. My apologies for that. Let me know when you're able to see my screen. I can just share my entire screen. Okay. Can you see this?
Yeah, good. Now we can't. Yeah, I think you're showing your entire screen now. Yeah, I think you guys showing now. Yeah, correct.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Elijah. Okay, so for Atinuke wanted more for herself. She wanted to land a high-paying job, and she made up her mind to join our program in February 2025. Now, do you remember at the start when I said you need to be very clear on what your goal is? You have to be clear. If you're not clear on what your goal is and you're shooting blanks in the dark, if you don't have a goal, then you probably won't even achieve anything. So it's best for you to have a goal. And for Atinuke, it is, I want to land a high-paying job. And she joined our full stack data science program. And in November 2025, she landed a job. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind going forward is that for some people, they get results in months. Remember the story of Hope, who got her result in 3 months. And for Atinuke, it took her a couple more months for her to get her results. The main thing is they still got their results, but the timeline was different. So some people might be wondering, why is the timeline different? And I would say that it's all entirely dependent on you. There is a framework that works. And so long as you apply yourself, you will get the results that you are looking for. Someone asked one time, does everybody get a job? And I can guarantee you, everybody gets a job. But what varies is the timeline. Because again, you're not coming in and just building a skill. You are becoming job ready. And that is the difference between just going to Coursera and taking a course and walking through the halls or the walls of 10 analytics. Okay, so Atinuke, you can be the next Atinuke who gets a high-paying job. Now, one thing that you also need to keep in mind as well is references. Remember when I said for many of these employers, these recruiters, it's all about, can you show that you understand our business context? Aside from that, if you have a strong background or if you have a background in this, can you get references? So you can add analytics to your resume, to your LinkedIn and to your resume. And you can also add Amdari to your resume, which solves the experience problem. But when it comes to references, who can you pick up the phone and say, hey, I've gotten an interview with the NHS or I've gotten an interview with Amazon and I need a reference. or I've gotten a job offer and I need a reference to close out. So this is part of what we do. We have written thousands of reference letters for 10 Analytics alumni who have gotten jobs. So you can always reach out whenever that happens for you, and request for a reference, and we will sing your praises to the high heavens. Now, I just want to quickly put together everything that we've been talking about, all of these frameworks, and just, put everything in one category. We're going to call it the LPA framework, which is the learn. The first step is picking a career path. Do you want to work in data analytics, in HR analytics, in DevOps? Which is why I shared the quiz. Take the quiz and be sure what career path is a good fit for you. And then once you do that, the next step is for you to package yourself, which is how you become employable in the market. And that includes a couple of things like your CV revamping. We revamp your resume so that it looks good to employers. So your resume is optimized to pass through the ATS system. And then also LinkedIn optimization as well. We also ensure that your LinkedIn, we teach you how to optimize your LinkedIn so that recruiters can find you. If no one has ever reached out to you randomly and said, hey, do you think you'd be a good fit? Would you like to apply to this job? Then your LinkedIn certainly needs optimization. Your portfolio as well. When you're in the program, you start to build your portfolio. This is where you build your proof. This is where you build the experience that makes you employable. And then, of course, mentorship. Whenever you're walking a path, you need to talk to people who have walked that path before. And this is part of what we provide you when it comes to mentorship. Not just talking to people who have done this before at the highest levels, like your facilitators, like people in analytics, but also alumni as well who have passed through this, gone through the same thing. They've been sitting exactly where you are, and they've gotten the results that they needed. Interview preparation, because for some people, it's not easy for you to turn on your camera and you're addressing a bunch of people, and you're speaking confidently. You've seen this. I've been in interviews where I've had to ask them a couple of times, are you nervous? Would you like to take a break? Would you like to drink some water? Just because for some people, when you start talking, all your nerves, your anxiety, everything comes out to play. And this is, I believe in many cases, this happens, because you have not prepared enough, or because you did not speak to someone who can guide you and support you through that process. So in some cases, even when you prepare, you can still catch your nerves can still fail you, and then you don't do too well because you did not have enough guidance when you were walking that path. And this is what our interview prep is designed to solve, where you can book an interview prep with your facilitators or with professionals, and then they would sit and have a conversation with you about the company that you're looking to apply to. Oh, I want to apply to Amazon. Okay, so you're applying to Amazon as a data analyst. What are the areas that you want to highlight? I've had someone come into an interview one time, and I asked him, I said, you're a product designer. When you go to our website on Analytics, what are the things that you would like to improve? Now, if I were a product designer and I was applying to a company, I would look at every single thing that they have out there to find what I can improve on. But in this person's case, it was like nothing. How do you say nothing? And this is where the interview preps come in. We teach you those things that you can identify, those things you can look out for, and you can mention them during your interview to catch attention. Now, job reference. Job reference is important because you also want to ensure that when you get the job offer, you can also keep the job offer. And of course, on the job support. So beyond helping you get a job, if you encounter any issues, who do you call to support you whenever you have a problem? You can always reach out. We had a student reach out to us a couple of times because she needed help with a configuration, and we helped her walk through that. We got her a consultant who came on board and who helped fix the problem that she had, or who showed her how she can fix the problem. And that's what I would call empowering people to be like the best version of themselves, whether or not you are still in the program or you've become an alumni. Now, the package aspect is very important. Remember, I spoke about ATS. So this is not just the spray and pray application, but this is strategic application. You are applying only for jobs that you are a good fit for jobs that you really want, quality applications. And because of that, you are taking your time with each application. For you to get an interview, you have to apply to at least 10 jobs per day, at least, at the very least, 10. And then also remember the hidden job board that I spoke about, where we scrape job boards and then we give you access to this so that you can have access to jobs that would typically not be listed on LinkedIn or Indeed because these sites are saturated. So in as much as you're still applying there, you also have another route as well for getting jobs. And this is something that will be available to you, a fresh list every week, jobs that you can apply to. So when you put all of this system together, it is guaranteed to give you the results that you're looking for. And in your case, that is a job. All right, so now we're rounding up. What skills do you have to have in order for you to be employable? Now, I'm just going to quickly go through this list, but I'm sure that a bunch of us already took the test. Okay, I just want to quickly check the chat section. Did you take the test? Did you share what your result is? Did you take the quiz? Okay. Okay, please take the quiz. No one has shared what they got, but if you did, can you share what you got? Okay, you did. All right, what did you get? Yes, I did. I did. What did you get? Tell us. Did you get business analysis, cybersecurity? Tell us, what did you get? So whatever it is that you got, project management, interesting. That is a fantastic career path. Data analytics, that is also a fantastic career path. So if you haven't taken the quiz, please take the quiz so you can be sure of what is a good fit for you as we round up. Now, for business analysis, when you come in, what exactly are you getting? As a business analyst, you're going to be learning things like Excel, like Power BI, like SQL. Like I mentioned before, you're a translator. You are the bridge between the executives and the developers who have the skills. So you'll be learning things like stakeholder analysis and engagement. You'll be learning how to use ChatGPT for business analysis. You'll be learning how to use Confluence, how to use Jira, how to use Lucid charts. Now we also have Agile project management as well. You're going to be learning a bunch of things here. You're going to be learning Scrum and Agile frameworks. You're going to be learning how to use Kanban boards for workflow management. You're going to learn how to apply leadership into real world situations. And you're going to understand things like skills and communication, which are central to project management. You're also going to be using tools like Confluence, tools like Jira, tools like Trello as well. Now, moving on to the next career path, data engineering. You're going to be learning things like Python programming. You're going to learn how to build ETL pipelines, you're going to learn cloud engineering. You're going to learn version control. You're going to learn ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. You might be noticing a trend here as I move along. I keep mentioning ChatGPT. AI is in everything that we do. It's in every career path. So you're going to learn how AI applies to your career path. You're going to learn tools like SQL, like Google Cloud. You're going to learn how to use GitHub, how to use ChatGPT, and a bunch of other tools as well. Now, under the data scientist track, you're going to learn things like statistics. You're going to learn Tableau for data analytics. You're going to learn machine learning, computer vision, GitHub version control. You're going to learn ChatGPT. You're going to learn how to use Microsoft Fabrics. You're going to learn how to use Excel, SQL, and others. Now, under the data analyst track, you're going to learn things like problem solving. You're going to learn how to use data to tell a story. You're going to learn ChatGPT for analytics. You're going to learn how to use Power BI, how to use Tableau, SQL, Excel, and others. You're also going to learn under the financial analyst track. You're going to learn things like financial analysis, financial modeling, valuation. You're going to learn ChatGPT for analytics. You're going to learn the fundamentals of accounting. You're going to learn SQL, Power BI, Excel, and others. Now, under the HR analyst track, you're going to learn metrics and life cycle. You're going to learn how to build dashboards. You're going to learn collaboration and report automation. You're going to learn how to use tools like Excel, like Power BI, like SQL, all of this so that you can make better hiring decisions and build the frameworks that can support successful organizations when it comes to their talent. Now, for cybersecurity, you're going to learn things like SOC roles and responsibilities. You're going to learn threat detection and response. You're going to learn things like introduction to penetration testing, security awareness, training and reporting. You're going to learn things like compliance audits and policy development. And you're going to be using tools like Zap, like Splunk, like Metasploit, like Whois, a bunch of others as well. All of this is what makes you a bona fide cybersecurity analyst who can compete anywhere in the world, in global landscape. Now, for DevOps engineering, you're going to learn the fundamentals of DevOps. You're going to learn a couple of things like unit testing and integration testing automation. You're going to learn how to build pipelines with Jenkins and GitHub Actions. You're going to learn building and managing Docker images and containers. You're going to learn how to use tools like AWS, Google Cloud. You're going to learn how to use Docker, how to use Prometheus, Terraform, GitHub, Jenkins, and others. All of this, again, to become a DevOps engineer that can compete anywhere in the world. And finally, product design. You're going to learn a couple of things like the UX foundations and research, like how to create user personas, how to build journey maps, how to define what the user problem is, and how to craft a value proposition. You're going to understand how to approach design through human-centered and inclusive design principles. You're going to learn how to use Figma for design automation, how to build visual ideation using Midjourney and Ideogram. You're going to learn how to build wireframes, how to build prototypes, and you're going to be using tools like Framer, like Figma, like Claude, like Notion for you to do this. Now, all of these tracks that I have just mentioned, all of them except product design are all 6 months learning. Product design is the only one that is 3 months learning. So 6 months learning, and then after 6 months, you move for your internship to Amdari, which lasts for 2 months. Now, classes happen every Saturday in the morning from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UK time. And then in the evening, that happens 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. UK time. That's your live classes. Now, you can always watch your self-paced videos anytime. Now, bear in mind that if you miss any of these live classes, there's always a recording that you have access to. If maybe you had to work, you had a family event on Saturday, and because of that, you missed it, you can always catch up with a recording. It is always available to you. Then we also have mentorship sessions as well that happens on Thursdays, 10 p.m. UK time, and on Thursdays, 8 p.m. MST. Okay, so just quickly, you get 6 months learning with Tenalytics, and then you get 2 months internship with Amdari. Now, to wrap up, before Tenalytics, no experience, interview panic, no portfolio, generic applications, you're getting ghosted when you apply for jobs. But with Tenalytics, you become a strategist. You start to get multiple offers because you build a beast portfolio. You learn how to do things like targeted outreach. You build a background, you build experience that ensures that you can compete on the global stage. And when you put all of this together, it gives you the results that you're looking for, which is the bridge. Everyone who is here today wants to cross that bridge. You want to learn. That is the first thing. And then when you learn, you want to package. That is the second thing. How do you package the skills that you have learned? And then you want to apply. This is what gives you the results that you are looking for, which is getting a job. Now, I want to emphasize on something that all of these career paths I have just listed, anyone can get started in it. All of these career paths are for beginners. And this is why it is also important that you take the quiz that I dropped. Because you want to start in business analysis or data analytics, you want to ensure that it is something that aligns with your personality, something that you love to do, something that makes you happy. Because like I said before, all of this are for beginners. Anyone can get started. So now, how can you get started today? I just said anyone can get started, but how can you get started? Now, our next cohort starts on the 10th of January, 2026. The 10th of January, which is just a couple of days away. Now, you want to be one of the people who takes advantage of this because we have something very unique going on. Something very unique going on. We have a discount happening right now. And this is a discount that will most likely someone is,
Yeah, we can't see your screen.
oh my, what is going on? Okay, let me share my screen again. I'm not sure why that is happening. I'm going to share on my screen again. Please confirm when you can see my screen. Can you see this?
Yes, we can see it now.
Fantastic. Okay. Now, I mentioned we have something unique going on. We have a discount going on, and we're always getting questions like, oh, when are you guys going to run a discount? When are you going to run a discount? We're running a discount right now, and this is not something that happens all the time. So you want to take advantage of the discounts. For the full amount, it is 1,200. Okay? 1,200. And right now it's been discounted by 50% from 1,200 to 600. It's been discounted by 50%. Now, this is for programs like business analysis, data analytics, data science, HR analytics, and others. For product design, it is $720, $720, and that's also discounted as well by 50% to $360. Okay, so you are getting a 50% discount for both. Now, for the $600 with the 50% discount, you can pay $150 monthly for the next 4 months. So think about it. $150 monthly. You cut out Uber Eats and you cut out a bunch of things that you don't need, and $150 is achievable for the next 4 months in order for you to become a complete, absolute beast in the job market. So you can either scan my screen. I'm sure you can see the QR code here, but I'm just going to quickly walk you through what the process looks like if you want to get started right now. My colleagues are also going to be dropping the link as well. So you want to follow that so that you want to follow the link that my colleagues are dropping in the chat section. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you what it looks like when you come to the link that they share. It's going to take you to the courses page. And when you come down to the courses page, you're going to find a bunch of options here. So this is where you want to make your decision. And this is why I said, take the quiz, data analytics, business analysis, whatever it is you want to go for. So in this case, let's say you want to go for business analysis. So I'm going to select business analysis. When I click on buy now, it takes me to a page where I can download the brochure for this, and I can see a bunch of information about the course. Now I'm just going to click on enroll now. And when I do that, it takes me to where I can create my account. I'm going to quickly create my account. I'm going to come here and just generate, I'm going to quickly generate an ID that I can use here and put in my phone number. And then the next step would be for me to complete my sign up. I click on, I have read the terms and conditions, and then I accept that. Okay, so now my account is being created. It's a very easy process, very fast, so you don't have to stress yourself. Very easy, very fast for you to get started. Now, the next step is your 50% discount is already being applied, as you can see. Now, you can select if you want the January cohort, if you want the February cohort, you can make your selection. If you want to start, and I would actually suggest that you get started in January, okay? The earlier you get started, the better. You can also get started in the February cohort as well if January is not the best time for you. But like I mentioned before, it's best for you to just get started immediately. Now you can select your currency if you want it in CAD, if you want to see what the amount is in pounds, in dollars, whatever that looks like for you, you can select your currency. Now, when you come here, you can see full payment. You can see that your discount is applied. You can see your monthly installments. You can see if you want to pay 3 times in 3 installments, if you want to make your payment in 4 monthly installments. You can see here that you're also getting an extra discount as well if you choose to make your full payments. If you choose to make your payment in 4 installments, then you pay $600. If you choose to make your full payment, you pay $540. And think about it, like I said, you cut out Uber Eats for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months, and this is easily achievable. I'm just going to come here and I'm going to select 2 monthly installments. And then I'm going to click on the button to move to the next page so you can see what that looks like. Now, one thing I want you to notice on this page is the feature that we've recently added here called Edit Dates. Now, what this means is you can choose when to make your next payment. So if you want to make your next payment and you pay right now, say you pay on, today is the 3rd of January, and you don't want your next payments to come in on the 3rd of February, you can decide to move it to the 10th. The week after that, or you can decide to move it maybe even earlier. You can decide to make it earlier if you want it. So in this case, I'm just going to select the 7th of February, and then you can see that that change is instantly applied. My next payment date is the 7th of February. Now I'm just going to scroll down so you can see all my information. This is what I'm paying first. I'm paying $270. But again, you can also make your payments in 4 tranches. You can pay $150, $150, $150. Really dependent on you. So in this case, I'm just going to come here and confirm that my information is correct. This is my phone number. This is my name. This is my email, my test email address. And then I'm going to confirm that I have read the terms and conditions, and then I click on Pay Now. So again, very easy, and I'm being redirected to complete my payment. So this is the final page before I make my payment. So in just a couple of clicks, you're already making your payment, and that's it. Pretty fast, very easy. So this is my test card. Just keep that in mind. It's not going to work for you. It's a test card. So I'm going to put in my dates, and then I'm going to put in my CVC, and then I'm going to put in my cardholder name. And that's pretty much it. I would select my country, and then I would pay. And that's it. Payment made. So in a couple of minutes, you can secure your future. One thing I always like to remind people of is that I was saying last year that 2026 is just around the corner. Take advantage of every opportunity that you can. Whatever it is you want to start it right now, because it might seem like you have a lot of time, but I remember it was just 2025, January, literally yesterday. And today, 1 year has already gone by. So if you have something that you want to do, something that you know you want to do, you're here on this call because you want to move into tech, take that leap today. take that leave today. Now you're going to get a verification email at this point in your registration. So you're going to just go to your email address, copy the verification code, and then you go back to your screen and then you input the code. That's all you need to do. And you are registered. Your registration is confirmed. If you do encounter any issues when you are trying to sign up at this stage, I encourage you, please use the help button. There's a help button that is always available. No matter where you are, you can always see it floating on your screen. So please use that button so that you can reach out for support if you need support at any point. All right. Now, your country of residence, you're going to select your country of residence here. You're going to select your gender. You're going to select when you would like to take your classes. So for some people, it's in the morning. For some people, it's in the evening. So whatever that looks like to you, whatever is convenient for you, you can select that here. And then you tell us how you found out about 10 Analytics. If you have an alternate email, you can input it here. If you have an alternate email, you can input it here, but this section is optional. If you have a referral code, you can input that here. And in this case, you can also input why you registered with 10 Analytics. I'm just going to say because they are amazing, because yes, we are. Now, in this section, we're asking you how much time you can commit to this weekly. And this helps us understand you better so that we know what is going to work for this person. You know, how many hours can this person commit to learning? And that helps us, you know, if we have to tailor your courses, we have to tailor learning to suit you, to ensure that you're getting the best value out of it. And that's pretty much it. You complete your sign-in and you are registered. So like I said, in just a couple of clicks, you can see that you've enrolled in the course. Oh, and then another thing, you can also gift the discount price to someone once you're done with your sign-up. And that is pretty much it. We have a checklist that you can complete, but then this checklist is just to ensure that you are ready to get started in class. The checklist gives you a list of all the tools that you have to download and install. It gives you a list of everything that you need in order for you to get ready to go to class. So what kind of laptop, what kind of desktop do you have to have? What tools you have to install in it? Who are the facilitators that are going to be teaching you? What is their profile? What pod are you going to join? We have this thing that we call pods, where it is a group of learners like yourself. Like I mentioned before, we're very community driven. So you are learning with people that you can always talk to. You have different areas that you can reach out for help. You can reach out to your pods. You can reach out to your facilitators. You can reach out to a bunch of people if you need assistance at any point in your journey. And yeah, that is pretty much it. You complete the step and you are ready to get started. It's as easy as ABC. I want you to keep this in mind as we move on, guys. The discount is not here to last. Once all the spots are filled, the discount is gone. And one of the questions that we are always getting asked is, when are you guys doing a discount? When are you guys doing a discount? We always get those questions. So the best thing is for you to lock it down at this pricing, lock it down today. We're in 2026 and there's no better time for you to get started on a future that you deserve. Okay? We also got into the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity Program. This was in October 2024. I know it's crazy how time flies, but fill out the registration form again so you can get access to this and you can read an article on 10 Analytics. Another thing is we are also accredited by the American Council of Training and Development. So if anyone was going to ask a question like, is this accredited? Are you guys accredited? Yes, we are. Okay, and that is pretty much it. Now, I know that some people might have some questions. If you want to ask your question, you can raise a hand and I will take your question. Or I will just look through the chats and find comments from people who have questions. But either way, I'm hoping that we have questions because that shows that you were with me while we were learning. So do we have any questions? I'm just going to quickly go through the chats. Okay. How many hours is required for the internship? Okay, Lily, I wouldn't say it really is all about you and how much time you're willing to commit to the internship. The thing is that the internship lasts for a period of 2 months. So it's all about you and how much time you are willing to commit to it. I would say get the best value that you can while the 2 months last. That is my advice. It's very important. Get your value out of 2 months. But if you do need help once you graduate from the program, you can always reach out for on-the-job support. But to answer your question, it's all about you and how much time you are willing to commit to learning. Okay. How will you advise somebody of 50 years and above who wants to get into tech? Oh, this is a very interesting question. I paid already. How do I get support to ensure I am doing the right course for me? Okay, so to answer your question, there's a story that I always like to share. I just didn't share it today, but it's one of our participants called Christian. Christian was 18 years old, and Christian was signed into the program by his elder brother. And you can imagine at 18 years old, he has like the opposite of the challenge that you think that you have, where he's young, he doesn't have experience, and nobody wants to hire someone who doesn't have experience because for businesses, they want to make money. And the only role they would be willing to hire someone who is that young is like an internship associate role. No one is going to take you seriously. But Christian had a goal. Christian had a dream and he took a data analytics course and he got a job a couple of months later. Now, the beauty about it is that Christian did not allow things like his age to hold him back. He went hands on, heads on into it, and he took the bulls by the horn. One thing about tech is that tech rewards the consistent. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how young you are, tech only rewards the consistent. So long as your value is louder than every other distraction, you will stand out in the market. So build value that makes you a beast, that ensures that you can compete anywhere. And this will not be a problem for you, Daniela. So to answer your question, how will you advise somebody of 50 years and above who wants to get into tech? I would say get started and get started right now. Get started today. So it's a good thing that you've already paid. So how do I get support to ensure I am doing the right course for me? You can always access support, but if you still have questions, you can book a clarity call and you can have a conversation with our career consultants who would ask questions about your personality. I'm also hoping, Daniela, that you took the personality quiz as well before you paid. But if you did not, you can also take a session, a clarity session, where you can have a conversation with a career consultant who would advise you on the best path for you. I hope I've answered your question, Daniela. Okay, Ruth is asking, what are the activities during the internship? Okay, Ruth, so the way you look at it is, at first you are learning. You learn for 6 months. You come into this industry, say you decide you want to go for business analysis, and this is a completely new industry for you. You're moving from care into business analysis. So you spend the next 6 months building your skill as a business analyst. Now, when you get to internship, at this point, you are building your portfolio. You are becoming job ready. You are working on what makes you noticeable in the market. This is where you are packaging your skills. This is where you build your employability. You build your employability during the 6 months. But we take this to the next step during your internship, because here you are working on real world projects where you can use this to build your portfolio. And this is what answers the question of, are you experienced? Can you show that you have solved a problem like this before? This is how you wow recruiters. This is how you wow employers, and you show them that you do understand what you're trying to solve. And not just do you have the skill, but you also have applied it to solve real business problems before. So the internship is not something that you want to skip. A lot of people get the skills, but they don't get the internship. So that means you don't even use the experience aspect. You don't use the background aspect. And in that case, you would be like Hope, where Hope already had the skill, but she did not have the experience that she needed to back it up. So I would advise that you do not skip that. And if that question is coming up, the internship is completely free. It is part of what you pay for. So if you pay for it in 4 installments, in 3 installments, in 2 installments, if you pay at once, you've already paid for that service. So ensure you get the best out of it. Okay, Daniela is saying each time, like, okay, fantastic. Elijah has answered the question. I would suggest, Daniela, that you book a clarity call. I'm suspecting that whenever you take the quiz, it is because you are selecting different options. So the quiz uses the options that you select to give you suggestions on what would be the best fit for you. Okay, so do we have other questions? Okay. Oneness is asking, I'm an electrician for years and I'm 52 years now. And with the pressure of UK, can I succeed the course of data engineering? Absolutely. Oneness. To answer your question, 100%. There is high demand for this. It's a high career pathway. There is certainly space for you. You can definitely, and I would say, when I say with the pressure of the UK, this is one of the reasons why it's even best for you to go for a career path like this, because there are so many opportunities open here. This is where we talk about the tech talent shortage. There are so many opportunities open, especially opportunities in big data. I explained at the start before, every second we generate billions, bazillions of data. While we're on this call, having this conversation, we're generating massive amounts of data. So this is something that happens any action you take, every time a new person is born, that is potential for so much data. Every second, every minute, every hour, you're on your phone, you're on your TV, you're on your laptop, you're generating thousands, billions, trillions of data. So when I tell you that work in big data is something that never goes out of style, I mean it. So if you decide to go down this career path, there's so many opportunities for you, and you would never be out of opportunities. So I would even advise that you go for that. Christina is asking, do I need to pay for the programs on my laptop to have them ready as soon as I will start the course on 10th of January in data analytics? Christina, I'm not sure what your question is. Do I need to pay for the programs on my laptop to have them ready? Well, if you're asking if you have to pay to start on the 10th of January, yes. Okay, Excel. Oh, okay, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through how you can install it. We're going to teach you how you can, oh, fantastic. Okay, I see what you mean now. We're going to teach you how you can install Excel, how you can install many of these programs on your laptop, and some of them are paid. But remember that this is part of the things that you need, the tools that you need in order for you to get started. And this is also how you're also going to show your competency, because you would have to build projects using these tools that you would be installing. So yes, 100%, you would have to install these programs, and some of them would be paid. But these are things that you're going to use in the course of your learning. So I just want to quickly scroll up and see if there are other questions. I can see that my colleagues have answered some of these questions, but if anyone wants to raise a hand so that I can take their questions, feel free to do that. Okay. Feel free to raise your hand so I can take your questions. Eben is saying, my case is similar to Hope. I have been applying for DevOps jobs but not getting any feedback. Am I starting the training with you again, or can you help get a job? So, Eben, I'm not sure when you took your course or when you learned DevOps, but you know, the thing with this industry, with the tech industry, is if you learn something this year, in the next couple of months, it has completely changed. And that is the beauty of AI, because it's changing how so many things work. It's changing how we work all the time. It's making things faster. So if you just step out of it for 2 months, a lot has changed. So what I would typically advise people like you is for you to get started, learn, get into the program, and see just how up to date you are. And in this case, while you are learning, you are also building your portfolio as well. You're building your background. However, even if you are confused, if you still want to have a conversation, you can book a conversation with our career consultants so that you can ask your questions and be very sure on what the path you want to take is. But what I would advise you to do is for you to just register. I would advise you to register for the DevOps. I would advise you to register for DevOps starting on the 10th of January. And then your focus is employability. So while you're doing this, you're focused on building the skills that makes you employable anywhere. That was what Hope did, and she got the results that she was looking for in just 3 months. So she got her results before she even finished her program and before she started her internship. Okay. Okay. Sanusi is asking, I joined the program. Okay, yes, fantastic. I see that my colleague has already responded. Do we have any other questions? Do we have any other questions before we call it a day? What if I want to change my class time? Yeah, I can't see that. Okay, I see that my colleagues. What if I want to change my class time due to change of my job shift? Can I skip the morning class? Absolutely. You can skip the morning class and join the evening class. Yes, you can do that. Yes. And that's why it's exactly because of scenarios like this that we have the morning and the evening class. So if you can't make the morning class, you can certainly make the evening class and vice versa. Okay. So I don't think we have any other questions. Okay, are the trainings online or some centers? This is fully online oneness, 100% remote learning. But don't let that deceive you. People are learning remotely all over the world. Ever since COVID became a thing, online learning has completely exploded. And side by side with online learning is also online opportunities as well. Like I mentioned, your geography doesn't limit you or stop you from taking advantage of opportunities in the market. As a matter of fact, the internet opens up the world to you. So you can learn remotely in Uganda, in the UK, in Kenya, and then you can also work remotely as well. So it's 100% online. Chi is asking, is it possible for me to attend both morning and evening classes same day? You have to register for one. It is either you're registering for the morning class or you are registering for the evening class. But if anything happens and you have to change, you can always update your classes and say, hey, I want to take the evening classes, no longer the morning classes. That's why we ask you to specify which you are going for, either the morning or the evening class. And that's because it's really the same thing. It's all about, okay. If I could see that, okay, yeah, I can see my screen now. Yeah, so it's all about you coming in and asking questions and then going over the topics that you have learned, the self-paced topics that you have already learned. So I would advise that you pick one, join the morning class or you join the evening class. And if anything changes, you can always update this in your profile. What time does the promo end tomorrow, please? Yes, so we have a number. I mentioned this, I believe I mentioned this. If I did not, once we hit 20 people in each, this is going to be closed. Once we hit 20 people in each, this is going to be closed. And you can be rest assured that we're already close to hitting that number in each program. So once we hit that number, this is closing and it's no longer going to be available. The cohort starts January 10th. And right now, this promo is ongoing. Once we hit 20 spots in each program, we're going to lock it up. And then the promo ends in the next 24 hours. So that means that we could probably lock this down before 24 hours. So this is dependent on two conditions to answer your question. The first condition is that we hit 20 people max in each, and then we lock it down. And the second condition is 24 hours, it expires. But I'm pretty sure the former is going to happen first. How can we reach you easily? And when is the promo ending? Please fill out the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat section. And you can always join a clarity call. You're going to have access as well to the recording. You're going to see our emails, and you have access as well to join our communities. Okay, Oladapo is saying, I can only pay installments on the 19th. Can I still start January? I'm not sure I get your question. If you're saying that you can start your installments payment on the 19th, I would advise that you pay right now because the discount is happening right now. And once the first 20 people, once we reach that number, once the first 20 people goal is reached, it's going down. And in the next 24 hours as well, it's also going to go down. So I would advise that you make your payments right now and get started. Okay? Fantastic. So I would say that we don't have any other questions. I don't think we do. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a really amazing session. It's been a really amazing session. And I look forward to seeing you guys in class, okay? This is 2026. I want you to keep something in mind as we wrap up. Whatever it is that you do now is going to decide how the rest of this year is going to go for you. Whatever it is you do now. And one thing I would always advise you to be is to be aggressive about your goals. If you want to accomplish something, be very aggressive and stubborn about it. That is the only way you're going to accomplish it. Be consistent. Great ideas go to die at the execution stage. And what that means is that you have a great idea, like, oh, I want to get started in tech right now. I've always wanted to do this. It's 2026. Let me get serious. But when it comes to the actual execution, you cannot be consistent. And you know what happens? The people who are consistent, in the next 6 months, they are getting jobs. In the next 1 year, they are moving from the start, they are moving to like maybe in the middle because they've been consistent, they've been getting better, they've been learning. You know, in the next 2 years, 3 years, they're now seniors at that level, while you have been stuck in this cycle of self-doubt because you refuse to take a chance on yourself. So like I said at the start of this session, lock in that mindset shift. And I would say choose yourself, your career today. That dream that you have of doing something that you really love, that makes you happy, it is 100% possible. Your age does not impact that. If you have kids, that doesn't change that. We've had people who were very young, people who were older and thought they wouldn't have opportunities, make transitions. We've had people do it with kids when they thought it was impossible. We've had pregnant people make transitions into this. So I'm telling you that this is 100% possible for you if you take a chance on yourself today. 2026 is already here. Get started, upskill yourself so you can be one of those people who ends the year saying, I did what I said I was going to do. I'm super proud of myself. And not just that, but it's reflecting in your bank account as well. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you in class. Bye.